Well, look, thank you all very much indeed for coming along. It's a great pleasure to be here. I always slightly amuse myself when I hear I'm being introduced as the Shadow Economic Secretary to the Treasury. My goddaughter referred to me as the Shady City Minister over the weekend. But look, it is great to be here. And I always feel ever so slightly overdressed when I come into this room. I'm very pleased to see there are one or two other people who have got ties on, which is very good. But for the last 800 years, this building has been absolutely at the beating heart of our financial system in the middle of the City of London. And it's only right now that it brings together the thought leaders of what is a very, very vibrant fintech industry, and an industry that represents the very best of what we in the financial sector will be able to deliver for tomorrow. The last time I had the pleasure of addressing the fintech industry was 9 years ago, when I was a minister in the Department of International Trade, with a portfolio that included promoting our fintech industry. Back then, we could see the true potential of this nascent and emerging industry, not just as a way of driving growth in the UK economy, but also by being a prime export for the UK in order to bring in foreign currency and sort out our trade deficit. But looking back on that keynote address, almost a decade on, there are two things that really strike me. So first, I announced back then that we had commissioned an annual State of the FinTech Sector report, and this was designed to track key metrics for investors to ensure the UK retained as the most attractive place in the world to start, scale, and invest in fintech. And today, I think we can safely say that that ambition has paid off. The UK is now second only to the US globally in fintech investment and home to 6 of Europe's top 10 fintechs. But not that. Britons have embraced the fintech revolution. 7 in 10 people in the UK now use the services of at least one fintech organisation. From Alika Bank, transforming banking for SMEs, to Wise, revolutionising the way we send money across borders, we're not just keeping up, we're actually leading. And a decade ago, I spoke about the goal of having a fintech industry employing 100,000 people in the UK by 2030. I'm delighted to say that we are well on the way to hitting that target. But secondly, in that speech, I spoke about the need to ensure we had the right regulatory framework to encourage fintech growth and investment. And the Financial Conduct Authority's regulatory sandbox was at the time unique and genuinely innovative, a blueprint that has been copied around the world. But the major game changer was the launch of open banking back in 2018. Open banking has transformed the UK's financial services landscape. Today, over 11 million people use open banking services and more than 11.5 million open banking payments are processed every month. This surge has empowered fintech firms to challenge established institutions, has driven greater competition, and most importantly, given consumers unprecedented control over their own financial data. But our ambitions must not stop at banking. We must now harness these advancements and apply them across the whole of the city, accelerating innovation in every corner of our financial services sector. And one such opportunity is the Digital Gilt Instrument, or DIGIT. This pilot, which leverages distributed ledger technology, has the potential to modernise how we issue and trade government debt, making the process more transparent and more efficient. The Chancellor's recent Mansion House speech reaffirmed the government's commitment to securities tokenisation, a crucial step forward. Yet despite this momentum, we are still waiting for a clear timeline on DIGIT's launch. With global developments accelerating, particularly in the US and Singapore, the UK's window to cement its leadership in securities tokenisation is narrowing quite rapidly. We must act decisively to maintain our competitive edge. And of course, another critical area is the role of stablecoins in financial services. Whilst the DIGIT pilot excludes unbacked cryptocurrencies, the global prominence of stablecoins is growing fast. When properly regulated, stablecoins offer reliable, efficient settlement mechanisms that support both liquidity and market stability. And the UK has already set a precedent by establishing the world's first fully regulated, sterling-denominated wholesale digital payment system. But to stay ahead, we must ensure stablecoins are integrated into our broader tokenisation framework, always with robust safeguards to uphold financial stability and regulation. But around the world, momentum is building. According to the latest data from the Atlantic Council, 44 central banks have launched digital currency pilots, and 3 countries have already rolled out fully operational digital currencies. In the United States, the President has already made the implementation of a Treasury-backed stablecoin a top priority. Congress has been tasked with passing 2 major pieces of stablecoin legislation by August. And during our Easter recess, by way of example, we saw how quickly our government could move with a large majority, passing legislation that took control of British Steel in just 1 day. So if we're serious about keeping pace with the US as a global fintech leader, we need to really accelerate the timetable for our own stablecoin legislation. Now, I understand that Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, made an announcement today that is looking to start moving forward crypto assets into legislation, and that is an incredibly welcome bit of news. I need to go and have a close check of it to make sure it's all okay, but it is good news. But digital stablecoins are not just technological innovations. They are statements of intent, commitments to future-proofing the UK's financial ecosystem. And we cannot afford to fall behind. Initiatives like the Digital Securities Sandbox have laid a strong foundation, giving firms the space to test and scale new technologies within a flexible regulatory environment. Now we must build on this foundation with urgency and purpose. The next phase will require collaboration between government, regulators, and industry to deliver a regulatory framework that is both robust and flexible. With more than 259 billion in digital transactions in the UK in 2023, the stakes could not be higher. But as we develop better and more sophisticated ways of supporting digital payments, we must also confront the rising cost of online fraud, particularly authorised push payment, what is known as app fraud. Fraud has a devastating impact on the UK economy, with the cost of payments fraud running at around £1.2 billion annually. So since taking over this portfolio, I've spoken several times on the need for us to get to grips with this growing problem. It is clear to me that with 77% of app fraud originating online, social media companies must do far more to address the issue at its source. So I welcome the leadership Innovate Finance has shown on this issue, and I commend its recently published anti-fraud strategy. The envisioned National Anti-Fraud Centre should play a vital role in providing centralised leadership at a time when police resources are increasingly stretched. But more importantly, introducing shared liability between big tech and the financial sector would create real pressure on social media platforms to act. Right now, the statutory responsibility falling solely on the payment providers, there is little incentive for technology companies to actively police their platforms. These proposals to prevent and tackle fraud have real merit, and I hope they're taken seriously by the government. How we protect our victims of fraud in the UK is part of a strong tradition of how we give consumers confidence in the financial sector. And likewise, deposit protection under the Financial Services Compensation Scheme is the government's guarantee that gives people the assurance they need to place their money into your emerging fintech products. The recent announcement to raise this deposit protection limit from £85,000 to £110,000 is certainly a step in the right direction and long overdue. But according to the Federation of Small Businesses, if the limit had kept pace with inflation, it would be nearly 2/3 higher at around £140,000. The guarantee of up to £85,000 compensation originally came about in 2010 from the European Union. Now, outside the EU, we have the freedom to chart our own course. There is no reason why we shouldn't, at the very least, tie our deposit protection limit to annual inflation. And this is precisely what I proposed as part of the recent bank resolution recapitalisation bill currently progressing through Parliament. By indexing the limit annually to inflation, we would far more bring our consumer protection in line with the US, where the deposit scheme covers up to $250,000 and makes it much easier for people to use online fintech. So while investing in new fintech products carries an inherent risk compared to traditional banking, a more ambitious compensation limit could significantly boost consumer confidence and accelerate adoption. So as I draw my words to a close, I want to reflect on our time in government and look to the future. Among my shadow ministerial colleagues, I count myself incredibly fortunate that the UK's fintech industry stands not only as part of my portfolio, but as a genuine success story. We haven't got to reinvent the wheel when it comes to making the industry a success, but after our recent election defeat, our leader has been honest. Now is a time for humility and renewal. That is why my party has launched the largest policy renewal programme in a generation, and we are absolutely in listening mode. This year, we're conducting a comprehensive review, reaching out to expert business leaders and members from every walk of life to help shape the future direction of our party and of our country and of our policy. What is our vision for the future? Our mission is clear: to generate bold, practical ideas that will help win back the trust of the British people and build a better Britain for the next generation. But this can't be done from Westminster alone. We want people, such as everyone in this room today, to contribute to this process. Whether you're a fintech entrepreneur, a business owner, or a concerned citizen, your insights and ideas matter. If you have proposals or perspective to share, please don't hesitate either to get in touch with me directly or through our policy renewal program, where we have a website where hopefully you'll be able to Google it and find it. And also, for those who are interested in a day out in Manchester, which would be a fantastic day out, on the 6th of October during our party conference, we have Business Day, and we would very much like as many people to come to that, and again, in order to contribute to the policy renewal program. Together through open dialogue and fresh thinking, we can bring forward the ideas Britain needs to thrive in the years ahead. But most importantly, I continue to work with you, I hope to continue to work with you over the years ahead to help the great British success story of our fintech industry achieve its full potential. Thank you very much.